Every praise is to our God. Every word of worship with one accord. Every praise is to our God. Every praise is to our God. Every word of worship with one accord. Every praise is to our God. Oh,
Every praise is to our God. Every word of worship with one accord. Every praise is to our God.
Oh, sing hallelujah.
Sing hallelujah to our God. Glory, hallelujah is to our God. Every praise
is to
our God.
Sing hallelujah.
Sing hallelujah to our God. Glory, hallelujah is to our God. Every praise is to our God. Good morning. I bring you greetings from Amazing Grace Missionary Baptist Church under the leadership of Pastor Curtis Wooten Sr. My name is Minister Johnny Gray, and I will be delivering the word to you today from the book of Genesis, chapter 41, verses 25 through 28. And it reads, And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, The dream of Pharaoh is one. God has showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kind are 7 years, and the 7 years are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kind that come up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What God is about to do, he showed unto Pharaoh. Now, if you could just bear with me for only a little while, I would like to talk to you a little bit about the subject title, Storing Up During the Good Years. As we take this little journey through this book of Genesis, this first book of the Bible, this book that details how God made the heaven and earth. This 41st chapter of the book of Genesis, I don't really want to spend a lot of time or stay right there, but I'm not going to go too far from it. You know, I don't really want to talk about Pharaoh, or I don't really want to just particularly talk about Joseph. I want to put all focus on the dream. So, if you guys will bear with me, can we talk about the dream? See, over in chapter 40, there was also some dreams. Not one dream, but there were 2 dreams. And I want to make mention of that because the baker was one individual that had a dream, and the chief butler was the second individual that had a dream. And then you come over to this 41st chapter where Pharaoh has had a dream. Well, we have 3 different people that has had 3 different dreams, but the one thing we have in common, we only have one interpreter of the dreams. So if I could just pause right there and say that everybody can dream, but everybody can't help you interpret your dream. You see, this dream that Pharaoh had about the 7 well-favored kind, and they were fat-fleshed, which represented 7 good years. And the 7 kind that were ill-favored, and it said that they were lean-fleshed, and they represented 7 bad years. You know, and the lean flesh ate up the fat flesh. But after the lean flesh devoured the fat flesh, they still remained the same. Their appearance did not change. So by them eating up fat flesh, they should have been bigger at that point, but yet they were still lean, as if the skin and the meat were hanging from their bones, but they had just ate healthy meal. So if I could just simply go through these 3 simple points. And the first point is you have to know who to share your dream. And since we're talking about Joseph, the interpreter of dreams, so let's go through a little of Joseph's life. Joseph was loved by his father. Joseph was himself a dreamer. When he told his brothers his dream, they started not to like it. So his brothers sold him. Then Joseph was appointed head of the Potiphar's estate. Then Potiphar's wife wanted to be with Joseph, but Joseph refused her, so she lied on him, and this is what sent Joseph to jail. And in jail, this is where we get to the 3 dreams that he interpreted within the 40th chapter to the 41st chapter. And Genesis 39:2 says, and the Lord was with Joseph. And I asked myself, what does that mean, the Lord was with Joseph? What does it look like when we say the Lord was with somebody? It's simply saying that the Lord's presence is upon that person. So what type of person shall help me with my dream? A person that has the Lord's presence upon him. But it goes a little farther in 39, chapter 3, it says that God revealed to Pharaoh that his presence was on Joseph. So God will reveal to you whom his presence is on, so you can reveal your dreams to a person that's in the presence of God. How was God with Joseph? Goes back to God's presence was with Joseph. God's presence don't go against God's word. When someone has the presence of God on them, when you reveal things to them, it's their job to turn you or put you back on track with the word of God. You see, some folk in your circle, they simply mad at you because of the blessings that God has bestowed on you. So everybody that's in your circle is not with you. Some folk is in your circle just to be able to see when you fall. Like the saying of misery loves company. So the first thing you got to do is to know who to go to help you interpret your dream. And that person that you go to, God should have showed you that his presence is upon them. Now, as we move on to my second point, and that is you have to store up during the good years. What do I mean when I say store up during the good years? That means when things are all going good, you got to put some things back. You got to put some things on layaway. Then when it comes, as we use our layaway system, we put some things on layaway around October. So we can get those things out of layaway around December. So we can have gifts under the tree for Christmas. So what I'm saying simply is you have to put some things on layaway when things are good. So when you're working a lot of overtime at work, you have to put back some money on layaway. When you go out and you grow your own garden, you have to put back some of the harvest that you reap on layaway. You have to also put back some love on layaway. You have to put back some patience on layaway. Well, what do you mean, preacher, when you say put back some love on layaway? You see, sometimes some things gonna happen with the folk you love, and you're gonna have to think back on yesterday, on that stuff that you got on layaway, and bring some of that layaway love out to get you through today. Sometimes you got to deal with your kids with some of that yesterday's patience, that stored up patience through the good years to get you through when times are not so good. For the Bible teaches us that some rain is going to fall. And all I'm simply trying to get you to understand is, why buy your umbrella when it was raining, when you have all the opportunity to buy it when the sun is shining and you will have you ready for the rain? Don't wait until the battle is over. Shout now on your way to the battle. Sometimes we need to store up some praise that we can be able to shout our way through when times get rough. As I go to my third point, we have to know how to live off what we've stored. And sometimes that's the hardest part, because we store love, we store patience, we store money, but we can get to the point where we may blow money. And we don't know how to exercise the love that we stored during the good time. Or we don't know how to put into practice or put into play the patience that we stored during the good times. So, during this time of COVID-19 is a perfect example of using what was stored. You see, some people are laid off from their jobs. Just went to work one day and realized that the job has no need right now because everything is closed. So that person may have to survive and live off what was stored during the good years. You know, unemployment is slow. They're not paying when you need it. They're getting to you when they're able to get to you. So you have to live off of what was stored during the good years. Right now, you can't find toilet paper or paper towel in the store. So you have to live off of what was stored during the good years. You can only buy one or most items, especially disinfectants. But when you have stored during the good years, you already have bottles of disinfectant at the house simply because you have stored during the good years. And I asked myself, how do you open a business during a pandemic? Because you got to have something stored. The hard times in your relationship, you got to have love stored. Hard times, you have to have patience stored. Stored patience will keep you from walking out of a situation. You have to have these things stored. So when you get to the point when it's time to exercise these things, you have put them back when we were going through good years. As I close, can I tell you about a man that was in glory? That he stored enough love and enough patience to come down and save a dying world. Because what Jesus had stored, he came down, never said a mumbling word. He didn't say a word because he had some love stored. He didn't say a word because he had some patience stored. He didn't say a word because the time he was in glory with his Father, he stored some things. He came down to die for a dying world. He died, stayed in the grave for 3 days. But after the third day, he got up with all heaven and earth and power in his hands. Because he had something stored. I oftentimes wonder, what if he didn't have these things stored? If he was walking with the disciples and simply said, y'all not getting it. Just depart from me and go your way. But Jesus didn't do that. Jesus kept on being about his Father's business. And I like to think that he kept on being about his Father's business simply because he had something stored from when he was with his Father. What if he would have gave up? What if Jesus would have turned his back upon us when we weren't acting right? What if Jesus would have came down from hanging on that old rugged cross? We know he could have done it, but what if he would have done it? We would have been in a situation where he would have been pierced in his side. But he stayed there and he took the piercing in his side. They would have never been able to nail his hands to the cross. But he stayed there while they nailed his hands and his feet to that old rugged cross. He stayed there because of what was stored. Now the only thing I leave you with this today is, during your good years, put something up because your bad years are coming. Before we oftentimes say there's 3 times of storms. The storm that you just came out of. The storm that you are in. And the storm you are heading to. But when you have something stored, you know that in the midst of the storm, that simply all you have to do is just to continue and keep on driving. Because when you stop in the storm, that's the only time you don't make it through the storm. It can't rain always. It can only rain for a season. So on this day, store something if you don't have nothing stored. If you need some help storing, store a little love. Store a bit of patience. Store. May God be with you, and may God keep you.